Hello there, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be answering some important questions about visa SOPs. We've been getting a lot of questions about visa SOPs, so I've put together this video to tackle some of the very important questions we received. So let's dive into it. An SOP is a document that you use to detail your information and show why you are a credible candidate to study in a particular country. Note that there's a difference between a study SOP and a visa SOP. In this case, we are talking about your visa SOP. Your visa SOP is that document which you use to indicate to the immigration that you have been given an admission and you want to study in the country, and these are the reasons why you want to study in the country. Typically, in a visa SOP, you use it to detail your motivation, your motivation of study, your purpose of picking the school, your purpose of picking the country, and you need to show your proof of fund and that you are credible. You also need to show your academic track record. You also need to show that you have home ties that would ensure you come back to your country. Yes, Canada visa, to obtain your Canada visa, you need an SOP. You need to understand that for some other countries like the US, the UK, you don't necessarily need a visa SOP. But for Canada, because you will not be invited for an interview, the SOP stands as that document you use to communicate to them how you plan to study in the country and to show that you are a credible candidate. There are situations where people choose not to apply and they get approved. But if your country does not have that liberty, it is always important that you accompany your visa application with your SOP. An SOP typically ranges from 1,000 words to 1,500 words. A lot of people try to do something lesser or more than that, and I'll tell you the dangers. Now, 1,000 words is enough for you to capture the important areas for your SOP, which is your background, academic and professional, your purpose of study, your reason for picking the school, your reason for picking the course, your home ties, your financial buoyancy, and your mission or your plans after studying. Right now, 1,000 words to 1,500 words is enough for you to do this. If you do something less than, let's say, 700 words, you stand a chance of not having enough time or enough words to cover those information in details. If you do more than you also stand the chance of sounding boring the person reviewing your statements. We necessarily don't know how they go through the whole review, but you need to understand that there are thousands of other people who have applied just like you. So you also want to write in a way that they would have enough time to grab your information and move on to the next. You don't want to be the candidate that they are reviewing his or her statements and it takes too long that they get bored, right? Now, this is one area that is very tricky. A lot of people try to get very creative with their visa SOP. You need to understand, just like I said before, there's a difference between a study SOP and a visa SOP. Your visa SOP is more formal. It's not a motivation letter. It's not a personal statement. It's formal, and so you should be direct and go straight to the point. Even though there are areas where you need to cover some information and make it interesting to read, you need to know that it is important. The first emphasis is to know that that statement is a formal document. So how do you write your introduction? I generally advise people to write their introduction in a very simple and straightforward way. For instance, I have been admitted into Canadavisa College in Canada. How I'm going to write my introduction is after the salutation, right, and the heading. The next thing I'm going to write is, my name is Richard Okiasi, and I have been granted admission to study at Canadavisa College for the 2023/2024 admission session to help guide you to approve my application. So you see how I stated that, very simple, straight to the point, and it just gives the reader what I'm applying for and why I'm applying and the parameters of my application. And then in the next paragraphs, I begin to talk about why I'm qualified for this and why I should be considered for the visa. Typically, for countries like Canada, you get a mail. If your visa has been approved, you get a mail requesting you to proceed either for your thumbprint, to submit your passport, and maybe proceed for your thumbprint. This part is very tricky. A lot of people get it wrong because they think the moment they get a visa refusal, the next thing they are thinking of how to write a new letter of explanation to that refusal. I usually advise people that when you get a visa refusal, the first thing you should do, especially for Canada, is to apply for something called a GCMS note. The GCMS note is a note that will help you understand the thought process of the person that reviewed your statement, your application. You would see critical reasons why your application was denied, and so you will now know how to properly communicate those areas and ensure that you present a better statement of purpose that would tackle those things. So when you get a visa refusal, apply for your GCMS note. From the GCMS note, read what the officer who reviewed your application, read the notes the person wrote, and it will inform you on why you were actually refused. Right, you could see important details, maybe inconsistency in your statement that might not be detailed in the refusal letter you received at first. The GCMS note would cover all those things, and it will help inform you on how to properly write a better statement that would cover those areas. So that's all we have to cover for this video. In subsequent videos, we will get to address the other parts of the other areas that were not covered in this video. And if you do have questions regarding the things we've just talked about, do well to leave them in the comment section and we would respond. If you also have questions that you need us to answer, also leave it in the comment section. If we get enough comments regarding a particular question, we might go ahead to create videos to cover them. Thank you so much for watching. Do well to like, share, and subscribe to our channel as we have more educative and interactive content that would help you grow in your career. Cheers.